Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to this episode of Combat Report. We are taking a look at the Swedish B18B fantastic plane this is. They call it a bomber, but of course it is not just any bomber. It is a bomber that can function as a boom and zoomer and as a sort of a fighter. As you have an offensive gun with 300 rounds, and with that gun you can wreak havoc. I've been corrected by one of you guys that I am not pronouncing wreak havoc correctly. I call it wreck havoc. Of course, this is due to my Dutch idiocy, or how you call it. You know, it is difficult sometimes to speak in your not native language that you just learned from a few years of learning English in class, and then, you know, being in squads, guilds and all that jazz for 18 years, but I never studied it or anything. But it is wreak havoc. Anyway, let's go back to the combat report. I don't know if I can get used to that, to wreaking havoc. But anyway, I will try to. If that's correct, by the way, let me know if that is correct. This bomber is very maneuverable, but with bombers that have offensive guns, it is extra important to what you're doing, your positioning. You can't just go in there because you know for sure that you are not the most maneuverable plane in there. Now that goes for certain boom and zoom fighters as well, and attackers with offensive guns, of course. You have to know that plane to realize how you have to set yourself up to be successful. If you watch my video on this thing, my review, and you're gonna use it like I'm just gonna fly in somewhere, I'm just gonna do whatever, then you're not going to be successful, and you're going to watch my review and you're going to say, Jengar, how on the earth can you say that this plane is successful? Because I'm failing in it, I get killed every time. That's because you got to use a plane like this in a certain way. You've got to be the one on the altitudes. This plane has two very powerful engines, and it's not too difficult to climb to altitude and to stay there. It is also quite possible to drop your bombs every match, and then after that start boom and zooming and work your way down. Now for this it is essential to what I'm doing here is to move to the highest target and work your way down. Now I talk about that a lot, but this has a lot to do with decision making, on which I'm gonna soon, hopefully. Too much to do. New planes series that I've got running, but it has to do with decision making. Decision making is one of the most important things in War Thunder, and it coincides with positioning, decision making, and then executing. You gotta have a plan in your head before you start stuff. Now here I already saw the 109. This guy in the 410 is going down a little bit, so I'm deciding not to dive after him and to go after the 109 instead, and just leave that other guy alone. I'm gonna extend, and potentially my ally or somebody else will eventually go for the 410. We also got a 0 coming in, so we've got multiple targets here. And the plane above us, below us, I can't speak. Behind us is is much more maneuverable than us, or maybe not much, but it can turn much better. So I don't want to end up in a turn fight with 410. We're extending that. That is fine. And I was gonna get some more ammo as I went through the clouds, but the 410 actually came after me, and we're gonna go into a dogfight now, see what we can do. We started a little bit earlier with this thing, so we're gonna get a shot and we're gonna get a hit. That didn't finish it, unfortunately, so we're turning in again. This plane is surprisingly maneuverable, and on the roll rate the B18B has some surprises up its sleeve. We get another hit. And we get him, actually. Shooting him from behind there. A little bit lucky on how the shots fell. You can shoot a lot of ammo on a plane like this. On a plane like this with my god. You can shoot a lot of ammo on a plane like that with its silhouette being small as it can be from either in front or behind, but behind is of course the most difficult because there's a whole plane in between you and the pilot there. No, my speaking today is off. It's always funny. Now Using the maneuverability of this fighter can be surprising, and it is a lot of fun to fly it that way. Now I have seen one of my more new squadron mates, although Hitman is in the squadron already for a while, but he's a bomber expert, and I gotta work on my shooting and maneuvering at the same time. I did not set that up being in gunner view and, you know, being able to maneuver the plane at the same time. There's some keys I need. I actually forgot about it. In the distant past I heard somebody say that already, but I forgot to do it and I forgot. So, but you can actually set it up like that you can actually move the elevator and stuff like that. Fly with the keyboard while you are still in gunner mode. And I need this to happen. I want to, now that I've seen Hitman fly, I want to at least come close to his abilities. But anyway, in this bomber, you don't need too much the gunners. And you don't need to be in the gunner view too much anyway, because you have that offensive gun that you can use. And it needs a little bit of setup, and you're going to see that later as well. But after I flew the B-18s more and more, they turned out to be fantastic planes that, you know, can function as boom and zoomers and have a lot of versatility on them as well. But again, you got to play it smart. You got to play it smart. You don't want to lose altitude, drop some bombs on a base because you want to get there fast and then expect from lower altitudes to do well. Unless, of course, you come back from the airfield, you hear some sounds, some engine sounds in the clouds, and you suspect there to be somebody, especially when then somebody confirms that there is a dot right above you. And I'm losing my bombs, and we're gonna go at it. Now, it doesn't function too badly as a brawler either, all thanks to the 13.2 millimeter that you have in the front. I wish all bombers were like this. I fell in love with this plane. Now again, we're gonna pick up some speed here. Gonna try to be as fast as I can and see what this 109 will do. As you don't want to be the focal point of the fight. You want to be the one coming in to support preferably. And we saw, of course, a dot in the clouds. This was also a bomber, and so we're going after this guy now. Gonna turn in. Of course, we turn way better than the GM41, the Japanese bomber. That is not an issue. But his gunners, of course, are an issue, and I'm a big target, so that is one of the downsides of this plane. If there are any downsides, then that is definitely one of them. And we now have a 0 coming in, which is always fun. We can definitely not outturn a 0 in this plane, as that guy gets shot on fire, which is good. We are gonna see if he wants to go for Mont there, and see if we can come in for a shot there. Yeah, and the 0 is actually going up and going into a dogfight with the P-38. Exactly what we needed, because now we can come in as the support fighter, which this plane is ideally suited. If it comes to lower altitude engagements, on the higher altitudes it can be the boom and zoomer itself, and of course you want to extend and keep the distance if they want to close with you. But right now I can be the support fighter and try to get this 0. Although there's a lot of fighters and Maxi coming in as well in his B18B. So there is a good chance that I won't get this guy if the guys have their aim on point. But if there's anything that can avoid being shot, it's a 0. Here we go again. We roll around and we're gonna go for the shot. Let's hope he is not turning into me. Well, he is turning into me. And we got the shots in. We got a fire. We do have some damage on the engine, but that's no problem. We're gonna try to stay out of his way. I don't want to be killed while I have a fire going on. But as you see, the behavior of the B18B is quite nice in the vertical, in the handling. The roll rate is quite good for a bomber. I mean, against some planes it might not be the best, but for a bomber it's quite nice. I love the power on the engines as well. It is just an awesome plane when it comes to that. And yeah, so the positioning and then the decision making. And what you got to keep in mind in this plane is that you work your way down, and that means that you find the highest altitude thread and you remove him, and then moving down again. Now here we were on altitude, and we did drop the bombs, and we came down to look for targets. I just felt like playing at a certain point, because this thing is just amazing. As we got it down tier, this one. Now it's a little bit more difficult to see, as I forgot to press the record button on this battle, but we've got 3 kills as well. Now here's somebody stalling after somebody else, and here you go for a perfect fit for the role that this plane has. With that 13, that is just fantastically accurate. We get the guy that was stall maneuvering, stall helicoptering after one of our allies, and we can immediately turn into an I-16 and remove him as well. And that's the kind of engagement that are very nice with this plane. When people are occupied and you have done your work on the higher altitudes, you come down and you can do stuff like that. The plane is maneuverable enough to move from target to target here. So yeah, it's a great plane for that. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.